doing your weekly Angel Oracle card reading. I hope everybody is doing well and that you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome to the month of December. So if you have a birthday in the month of December, I'd like to wish you a very happy birthday. I felt very guided to use a deck I don't often use. It's what I would consider a very high vibrational deck, and it's reserved sometimes for folks that are ready to receive the depth of messages from the actual card deck. And I felt very strongly today that we would be using the Kyle Gray Keepers of the Light deck. The moment I opened this deck, when I received it, I knew that it vibrated very differently than a lot of my other decks. Not good, bad, or different in a negative way or anything like that, just in a very different kind of vibrational way. And if you don't know who Kyle Gray is, he's out of the UK and he is very into angels, and that's his work, and he's written some books. So I would encourage you to maybe look him up either online or on Facebook and maybe follow him, especially even on Instagram. But I really enjoy him, his energy, and his messages. I would love to actually see him one day. So as soon as this third card pops, I will show you what the deck looks like. But I really wanted to tap into the full moon energy that we are experiencing right now. And that's part of the reason I wanted to use this deck. If you saw me Friday, I did a live. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, you may want to go back and watch that. But we are coming out of the full moon, and Mercury has just gone into retrograde yesterday. We have a busy astrological month. We have Saturn moving out at the end of December, and it's been, I think, placed in a specific house for the last 3 years. And it finally is shifting out. So depending on your sign, it will impact you in a different way. I'm a Pisces, so for me personally, I'm happy to see Saturn go. I'm like, let's move forward and push through. Been a lot of hard work these last several years. So with Mercury going to retrograde, it will be retro until December 21st or 22nd, depending on where you live. And basically, what I talked about in the live last week was when Mercury goes retrograde, some of that shadow side of ourselves come to surface. Emotions that we've been pushing down are coming up. Maybe issues we have with other people are bubbling up and asking us to deal with those in a more healthy way. So just be mindful as we move through the energy of this full moon as well as Mercury retrograde to be gentle with yourself. Journal. If you're buying electronics, I would encourage you, make sure you keep receipts during the time that Mercury's in retrograde. And I also encourage you, don't sign contracts if you can wait till after the first of the year. Once Mercury goes direct at the end of December, there's still a shadow period. So once you're in about that second week of January, you should be clear. And again, you do what your heart tells you to do with these types of situations, but just some things to think about. So this is what the deck looks like. It's Keepers of the Light. This is, again, by Kyle Gray. This is one of my favorite decks. I probably say that about every one. And I just ordered a couple more, so very exciting. Really quick too, the end of December, I believe it's Monday the 29th, of January, I will be teaching an angel card class for anyone interested in learning more about their angel cards, how to use them. So I would encourage you, if you have time and are interested in taking the class, it's an event listed on my Facebook page. It does fill quickly. If I overflow space-wise, I may move it to a location just down the road, but we'll see how RSVPs go. It's $30 for the class. So, okay, let's get on with the reading. Monday, Tuesday is the first card, midweek, second card, third card towards the end of the week. So it figures that this card that I'm looking at, oh, Lord Almighty, I'm telling you, these cards are just so relevant. I'm going to try to pronounce this man's name correctly because it's a mouthful. Melchizedek. Okay, and he almost looks like Father Time or Father Christmas, very wisdom-filled warrior. The message is higher learning. You have learned from experience. More inner study is now required to further your progress. What this means is that we are really on a fast track of learning. Kind of what I just talked about, especially in this full moon energy, is that we are all being called to go into our higher self, to get more connected to our higher self, and do our spiritual and emotional work and healing so that we can move forward in a really great way and have and experience the most that we can possibly out of our lives. We learn through experiences, right? I like to say that there are no mistakes, only lessons. And when we look at everything that we experience in our life as a lesson or a learning opportunity, you're able to shift your perception of that and handle it a little bit more with ease and grace. Instead of maybe getting really angry or upset, you take a step back and say, I know this is happening for a reason, and I need to understand what the lesson is here for me, or maybe the lesson is about the people around you. So more study is required to further your progress. We're in this nonstop process of learning, and sometimes, and I talk about this with my inner circle of spiritual friends, it's like, when do we get a reprieve? Because sometimes you're like, when does it stop? And what this card tells us is that we're always going to be on this path. We're always going to be learning and growing. So we do have a little bit of more, downtime, and we get little reprieves, but then we're right back in it, and there's more to learn and there's more to grow. So this is another great card, Paul the Venetian, experiencing grace. Share your gifts with grace. Waves of inspiration and love are coming to you. And I love the rose right in the middle of this man's heart chakra. So what's very interesting about this card is that we really need to try to share ourselves, our energy, with as much grace, love, and compassion as possible. The other thing too is that when you're in that space of being a little bit more calm, grounded, and centered and balanced, that's when we're more open to receive guidance and inspiration, and understanding that once we change our vibration, more love and more wonderful things come into our lives. So this card is really asking us to focus on experiencing more grace in our life. And the way that we do that, going back to that higher learning card, is to continue our learning in whatever way that needs to be for you. Sometimes it's reading books, going to classes, just reading articles, looking at things a little bit differently than maybe how you have been. And then once you're able to, get through that learning, and again, it's that nonstop process, but sharing what you learn too with other people with compassion and grace. I knew this card was going to come up. This is one of my favorite cards, White Eagle. So for me, this Native American energy, especially of White Eagle, is extremely powerful, and it's ancestor spirit. And connect to your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. The other thing about this card, and I'm thinking of all these people who I know this card will make a lot of sense to, is when we have issues with our family members, whether it's our children, our parents, extended family, siblings, it makes it difficult. It just is. And I think as we move into the holiday season, so many of us have outings and get-togethers with our family. And so there's that piece of being able to be around our family in a very loving way. But then the other piece of it too is healing what needs to be healed around our lineage and around our family as much as possible, so that as we go into 2018, those things are being resolved, or you're in the process of moving in a more positive direction. The ancestor spirit also asks us to remember who you are as a person, who you are as a soul, because again, for most of us, this isn't our first lifetime here, and that's a whole nother conversation when we talk about past lives. But this card just really wants to focus in on maybe old patterns that you've always like you just, this is what my grandparents did, this is what my mom and dad did, this is what I do. Some of those patterns and habits can be unhealthy and toxic, and we don't even realize it because we've been doing it for so long that we don't know anything different. So the other piece of this card is maybe take a little step back and look at, you know what? I've always done this because this is what my family did, and it doesn't feel good to me anymore. That's a perfect opportunity for you to say, I'm going to change some of this. I want to move in a more positive direction. My family's very, whatever that is, if it's negative or they're stuck and you want to like break away from that, but feel like you have to still be a part of that unit. It's dysfunctional sometimes. And this card also is like, pull yourself out of that. Yes, that's part of what your family is, but by you pulling out of that, changing your vibration and moving forward, you then teach your family, hey, maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe we don't have to live like this anymore. We don't have to live in fear and anxiety and depression. If your family is fantastic and wonderful, and those things you want to continue, then this card really speaks to you too, is embracing those types of positive things and keeping that as part of your ancestry. I always, think to myself, what's my legacy going to be when I'm no longer here? And I think about that. I think about that in the work that I do. So I ask you to think about that as well. So very, very special cards. Continuing that higher learning, continuing to move forward, raising your vibration so you can experience more things with ease and grace, and then helping others in a graceful way. And if you're feeling more called to help other people, answer the call. Okay? We need more light workers in this world, but the key is you need to work as much as you can on yourself so that you're in a healthy place to be able to help others. And then White Eagle, that ancestor spirit, remember what your ancestry is. Connect to what that family may be. Maybe you're doing an Ancestry.com, which is funny because I just did an Ancestry.com DNA kit and sent it in. So I'm anxious to see what comes back, just because I'm curious to see more about where I come from in terms of my own lineage. So I'll let you know how that goes. But heal the wounds or the issues around the family, or at least start acknowledging that something needs to be healed, or and start the process. It takes time. It's not gonna, God bless you if you can do this in a week, but sometimes it takes time, right? So be patient with that process. And again, I have some people in my life that I know this will really resonate with. So really wonderful cards for the week. And again, kind of coming out of this full moon energy. It's the time to release and let go right now. Anything that no longer serves you. You may feel a bubble up of emotion. Yesterday, I was feeling that. Just things kind of coming to a head because I know things are going to shift and they're going to change in different areas of my life. And that's okay, right? And so the universe loves us, wants us to be prepared as well as possible as we, walk through our path. We're never alone. We have support. You have support. So really do what you can, to tap into that support. There are people like myself. You can have a reading done, have someone tap into your spirit team and your spirit guide so you can get more connected with who's around you. I love doing that in my readings so that people can take that, empower themselves, and use those tools to grow and to learn. So great cards. As always, I very much appreciate you watching. We went a little bit longer today, but I had a feeling we might. And again, a lot of times you'll see on hayhouse.com right now for the holiday specials on these decks. And this is a great deck to have. The pictures are beautiful. It always comes with a little booklet. And again, if you decide you want to take my class Monday the 29th, I believe, I'd love to have you there. It does fill up quick, so do sign up when you can. But you can find me at MilwaukeeMedium.com, and If you are thinking about getting a gift certificate, I would encourage you to reach out and we can get you set up. If you want to give the gift of spirit or a Reiki healing session or an angel card reading, I'd love to be a part